A decades-old mystery may have new answers halfway across the country.
The University of Missouri responds to serious allegations in an ESPN report.
And the FAA investigates after an emergency landing in Ashland Thursday afternoon. KOMU 8 News, first at 5, starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5.
On the run for 30 years, a Missouri fugitive is found near Seattle. Good evening, I'm Alexandra Pierce.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. KOMU 8's Bryn Whitaker spoke with a man who worked at the prison at the time of an escape and is live at the state penitentiary with more on how this all happened.
Just inside this prison behind me nearly 30 years ago, a prisoner being held for assaulting an officer and many other crimes put on a guard uniform and walked out the front gates in broad daylight. There hasn't been any leads in the case since, except for now there's a lead in the case coming from Washington State. Now, after his escape, Lilly allegedly lived with his wife under a different name, Dave Murray, just outside Seattle. A neighbor says he noticed him wasting away from cancer and that he passed away in 2012, but no funeral occurred. Snohomish County Sheriff officers gained a search warrant last week for the home Lilly shared with his wife and found human remains buried in the floorboards of the couple's shed, believed to be Lilly's. Police suspect Lilly's wife buried her husband in the floorboards of a shed after he died from cancer. I spoke with Donald Klein, who was the deputy warden on duty the day of his escape, and told me what was going through his mind when Lilly escaped.
Where did we screw up? How did the individual get through the round gate?
After nearly 30 years, the FBI caught up with the couple on the run after looking into Lilly's wife for possible brokerage fraud. And obviously, the case is ongoing in Snohomish County. Reporting live in Jefferson City, I'm Bryn Whitaker, KOMU 8 News.
A new ESPN report claims Mizzou did not investigate an alleged assault in 2010, an assault that may have led to her suicide 16 months later. But Mizzou says there's much more to that story. KOMU 8's Dan Malloy is in the studio with more details.
This report from ESPN's Outside the Lines states the University of Missouri did not investigate an alleged rape that was possibly committed by one or more members of the school's football team against former Missouri swimmer Sasha Manu-Corey. The rape in question allegedly occurred in February of 2010, but Manu-Corey did not report that incident until she told the university therapist 10 months later. She attempted suicide in April of 2011 before leaving the university a few days later. And on June 17, 2011, Manu-Corey died in a Boston area hospital after she ingested 100 Tylenol pills. Responding to the ESPN report, Mizzou spokesperson Chad Moeller said, "No one on the coaching staff and no one in our administration, nor any staff members were, to the best of our knowledge, ever told about this event while Sasha was alive." He went on to say, had Sasha told any of our staff that she felt she had been assaulted, we expect that our staff would have reported it immediately to the proper authorities. Now, yesterday, in response to ESPN's question about a possible investigation, Chad Moeller said Sasha's parents have not responded and we are not aware that they have taken any other action to prompt an investigation, such as filing a complaint with law enforcement. He went on to say, we continue to believe that MU has done the right and appropriate thing in asking Sasha's parents about their wishes. Now, Manu-Corey's mother told ESPN's Outside the Lines she and her husband did not follow up for an investigation with Mizzou because they did not feel it was their job to investigate and that the university holds the relevant records.
A Mizzou football player is out of jail on bond this afternoon following his arrest last night. MUPD arrested Levi Copeland for disturbing the peace around 10 o'clock last night. They said the MUID office called them after they said Copeland made threatening remarks towards their staff. KOMU spoke with MUPD Captain Brian Weimer this morning, and he tells us that Copeland cooperated with authorities during questioning.
Therefore, if you're a student athlete, a senator, or just any other person that walks in off the street, you're going to be treated the same way by our department. How the community chooses to follow up with that is up to them.
This is Copeland's second arrest during his time with the team. The MU Athletic Department released this statement saying, "We are aware of the situation and we deal with disciplinary issues internally." Copeland has been a member of the Mizzou football team since 2012. This past season was his first season playing with the team after redshirting in 2012. The most notable play for him this year was the punt he blocked in the Tigers' 48-17 win at Kentucky. Copeland's arrest comes on the heels of Dorial Green Beckham earlier this month. Police arrested DGB in his hometown of Springfield for suspicion of drug activity. That investigation is still ongoing. Both Copeland and Green Beckham were arrested in October of 2012 for marijuana possession. The FAA visited Boone County today to interview the pilot of the plane that made an emergency landing in a bean field here yesterday. Investigators say that it could be days before the plane is removed. The FAA will give its findings to the NTSB, which will then issue a final report on the cause. The pilot tells us that the plane's engines, both of them, failed, leading him to land without landing gear. He and 2 other passengers were traveling from Iowa to Jefferson City, but they did manage to land the plane safely.
Only 33,000 uninsured Missourians out of 877,000 have enrolled in the insurance marketplace established by the Affordable Care Act. That's less than 4%. KOMU 8's Megan Schultz tells us what One Columbia Group is doing about those low numbers.
At the Boone County Public Library tomorrow, the Family Health Center is hosting an event so uninsured Missourians can get help finding an insurance plan that they can afford. The event will be held in the training center where certified navigators, as they are called, will be there to help navigate the healthcare website. The Family Health Center says the #1 reason why people aren't enrolling is because they lack the information to do so. But one person says the event is unlikely to increase the number of people that enroll because lack of information isn't the problem. Cost is.
A lot of people say, they don't know that they can actually get financial assistance, and so they know that health insurance has been unaffordable for them in the past, so they don't even bother to look and see if they can find something that they can afford.
The premiums going up, not only for those that have been uninsured and are trying to get it for the first time, it's going to be expensive. And then other people have had it for years, it's going to get more expensive.
If you do plan on attending the event and signing up for a plan, the Family Health Center asks you to bring your Social Security number with you.
The dry air and high winds today are making conditions ripe for a fire. Right now, mid-Missouri and other parts of the state are under a red flag warning issued by the National Weather Service. KOMU 8's Doug Hoffman tells us the dangers that can come from a red flag warning. Doug?
Red flag warnings are meant to warn people about the possibility of high winds spreading fire very easily. And as you can see right now, it's a little bit windy out here. It's died down a little bit since we've come out. And the reason for the red flag warning is because there's very low humidity and high winds. Today's relative humidity may get as low as 20%, which is unusually dry for January. Winds are also averaging between 15 to 25 miles per hour, with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. I talked to Battalion Chief for the Boone County Fire District, Gail Blumenkamp, and he urges people to use caution while the warnings are in effect.
No, we just ask people to use caution. Even a flick of a cigarette out the car window can cause a significant natural cover fire in conditions like this, or spark from a flat tire.
KOMU 8 News responded to the only fire we heard about today, but we could not get any information because the fire trucks were driving away as we arrived. Now, the warning goes on until 7 tonight when conditions are expected to improve. Reporting live from Boone County, Doug Hoffman, KOMU 8 News.
Fires in the Northwest, and a former legislator will go to a trial after pleading not guilty on 14 counts. KOMU 8's Shay McAllister has those stories and more in your First Nation report.
While much of the country is battling extreme cold, firefighters are battling rare winter wildfires in Oregon. The fires run along the northern coast range near the small town of Ark Cape. The flames can be spotted 20 miles away. Wind gusts have hit 70 miles per hour, causing flames to jump logging roads. Former Virginia Governor Bob McDonald and his wife pleaded not guilty today in federal court. The McDonalds face 14 counts of illegally accepting luxury gifts, vacations, and loans from a man whose business they allegedly then promoted. The McDonalds, who each entered their own pleas, are set to begin trial in July. And the Pope says he plans to visit the United States in 2015. Pope Francis will attend the World Meeting of Families, a large meeting of the Roman Catholic Church. The Vatican announced the celebration would be held in September of 2015 in Philadelphia. President Obama also plans to meet with the Pope this March as part of his European tour. And that's your first look around the nation.
Secretary of State John Kerry defended the United States Middle East policy during his speech at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. Kerry shot down what he called the myth of U.S. disengagement. To prove his point, he cited active U.S. efforts to end the crisis in Syria, deal with Iran's nuclear program, and broker an Israeli-Palestinian peace deal. Edward Snowden is in the news again, this time going on the record in a web chat. Snowden says he approved of the government privacy panel's statement that the NSA's mass telephone collection policy is illegal and of, quote, minimal value. However, Snowden is not addressing direct charges that he's been working with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Now, the wind has been making warmer temperatures feel much colder. Let's send it over to Kenton to find out if we'll see any relief.
That's exactly right. Our temperatures are feeling a little colder here than they actually are, because really we are warmer right now than we were 24 hours ago, if you can believe it. We're actually 22 degrees warmer here in Columbia than we were 24 hours ago, and 25 degrees warmer over in Kansas City. And look over in Kansas, they are 34 degrees warmer, as well as up in Lincoln, Nebraska. Looking at our current winds, though, that's the big issue today. 23 miles an hour from the southwest here in Columbia, 12 miles an hour up in Kirksville, and 16 over in Kansas City, which means that we are feeling like, here's our wind chills, 23 degrees in Columbia, 29 down in Jeff City, and only 10 degrees in Moberly. Now I'll have a quick look at your forecast coming up here, including a warm up and then a cool back down.
Researchers say bad habits might not be the only thing you pick up from your spouse. And that is a live look over the Missouri River in Rocheport. Right now it is 5:10, and this is KOMU 8 News First at 5, coverage you can count on.
The vitamin responsible for building strong bones and immune systems may not provide as much protection as we think. Researchers in New Zealand have found vitamin D supplements taken by nearly half of U.S. adults provide few health benefits. They reviewed data from 40 clinical trials and found the vitamin helped prevent a variety of health problems linked to vitamin D deficiency by only 15%. A new study suggests living with someone who has type 2 diabetes may increase your own risk of developing the disease. Researchers in Canada say the risk of developing type 2 diabetes when your spouse has the condition increases by 26%. They say unhealthy behavior like poor diet and exercise habits often rub off on spouses and contribute to the increase. Growth in the first trimester of pregnancy may determine if your child could be at risk for cardiovascular disease during childhood. Researchers followed nearly 2,000 children from their first trimester through early childhood. Children who were small in fetal measurement had higher blood pressure, more total fat mass, and cholesterol by the age of 6.
Coming up in today's talk, we look at Columbia's options for a new trail.
Car seats for children under 40 pounds may have a new form of protection. The U.S. Department of Transportation is proposing car seats pass a safety test for side crashes. Both rear and forward-facing car seats will have to provide protection from T-bone crashes. Darla Atkins from the Columbia Fire Department says families do not have to wait for these changes to have those safety features.
There are some car seat manufacturers out there that already test to the side impact, and they have them on the shelves already. Just know that it may or may not have a safety standard.
For more information on the proposal and car seat safety, visit KOMU.com.
In today's talk, the City of Columbia needs to decide what plan it will go with for a new trail and bridge along Forum. One plan has the trail starting near the MKT Nature and Fitness Trail and running along the east side of Forum Boulevard. The other plan has the trail starting near the MKT Trail and going west of Forum. The plan spurred some conversation online. That's what we have for you in today's talk. One viewer supported the west side proposal, saying option 2 with the crossover. Then a person won't get run over or back up traffic more when cars are turning off of Forum into Wilson's, Peak, etc. Another viewer supported the east side proposal, but also cited safety as the primary concern. She said east side, then a person doesn't have to try and cross over Forum from Wilson's. One viewer, however, had a different thought to get all together. She said, we don't need another trail. Money would be better spent on additional police officers.
Human remains found in Seattle could provide answers in Missouri. KOMU 8's Bryn Whitaker is live in Jefferson City with more information on the investigation.
Now, just inside this abandoned prison's walls, nearly 30 years ago, an inmate by the name of Dennis Lilly escaped out the front doors. Now, authorities believe he escaped by putting on a guard's uniform, walking out in broad daylight, and no one saw him. Now, the case has been closed ever since until yesterday. Snohomish County Sheriff deputies in Washington State found what they believe are the remains of Lilly. Now, they also believe that him and his wife were going under fake names. Neighbors say that he was suffering from cancer in 2012 and passed away, but there was no funeral. So that's where the authorities are now, believing that that's where the remains of Lilly are. The case has somewhat been solved in Washington State. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Bryn Whitaker, KOMU 8 News.
Well, temperature-wise, we are starting to level off here as we head into our evening hours and into our overnight hours. 32 degrees for your low temperature tonight. We do have a chance for precipitation overnight, and winds are going to be a little breezy here, up to about 25 miles an hour. And looking at our roller coaster here, we're going way down here as we head towards Monday. A high of only 14.
And that low, -1?
-1 on Monday night into Tuesday.
Enjoy the weekend while it lasts. Have a good night.